Well, I saw Sundance is making a move.
I know. What are the Housewives going to do?
I know people said get some cameras on Lisa Barlow in Salt Lake City.
Hi, baby gorgeous.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's the Pop Report.
So juicy.
You know, your arms are really popping today.
Are they?
Has anyone told you that? You are arm. You are the definition of forearm, left arm, armsicle.
Okay. Okay.
You really, I'm only saying that because you've been wearing tank tops left and right, and I just had to give you at least one bone.
You never do.
I do.
I never get compliments from Andy. I never get nice comments from Andy.
It's a two-way street. What do I get from you?
Am I not nice to you?
No.
No. I think about it in my head and I just don't say it out loud. I should do that more.
Let's practice. Ready? Say one nice thing about each other. You first.
Your hair.
Oh, it's physical appearance? Okay, here we go.
Well, I thought that's, no.
No, do whatever you want, girl.
I thought it was meant to be
compliment.
physical because you complimented my arm. So I was like, oh, I'll compliment your hair.
Well, I was going to give you a new compliment, but easy does it, Tiger.
Okay.
You've been doing great at work. You've been killing it. You've been doing amazing. You're back on the hot seat, I feel like, where you and I met years ago when you're like, I'm in it. I am touring. I have all this shit together. And I was like, hell yeah, girl.
Yeah, in 2024, the only, you know why 2024 was
I know a lot of reasons why 2024 was a bitch.
But that was like the outlier year. And all the things I couldn't talk about that are still not fully resolved, but I'm finally out of the thick of it.
Okay, Beach House.
Yeah, that was my Tom Girardi year. Yeah, how you? I hear you're going to the GLAAD Awards tonight.
Where's my compliment? Wow, okay, I get nothing then.
Oh, I complimented your hair. I mean, you've been booked and busy too. You were just in Vegas, and now you're going to the GLAAD Awards. Like, I feel like you're starting the year off strong. But I feel like we're now going into Q2.
Oh my God! As we sit here, my robot vacuum's like, today is the day. I'm deciding to go off for 14 seconds, then go back to my home. No, yes, like. I feel like the seasonal depression is out. I feel like for us, when it gets warmer and then when the sun is out a little longer, the business happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what about it. Does the melanin just start to come through and everyone says, I want to work with you again? I don't know, but I'm thankful, tired, and excited.
Q1's always a little slow. I feel like
Q1. Q1's done dirty for a lot of people, and I feel like Q2 is going to be off to the races for everybody.
Yeah, you have your gig with Gaiety, and you're still doing your articles at What's Trending. The podcast is growing. You're doing more social content, which was your goal in 75 Hard.
It's
the
funny.
Body's looking like popping. I saw your thirst trap on Instagram last night.
I feel like the results of 75 Hard, for those people who want to do one of those, is like, don't, number one. Number two.
It doesn't fucking work.
It makes you feel like you know what you want to do after it's done. And I feel like I'm hitting my goals now after it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah. Like, I didn't notice anything during it. And then after is when, like, I don't know. How did the rest of the boys feel? Did they feel like it did anything for them?
You know, I think it made everyone decide. We in our group chat of five gay men, that they hated it. And they were able to take control of their lives after because they realized what they liked and didn't like from this challenge. But we were supposed to rap. Like, if we really stuck with it 2 weeks ago, we would have rapped. But, like,
no, we weren't sticking with it.
The other things need to rap, including some other things we're going to talk about in today's episode. But, no, it's kind of nice. We get back in studio next week. So I'm excited to be juggling a schedule with you again, driving to and from Hollywood. Obviously, if you love the Pop Report, you obviously subscribe. Keep on going with us. We are close to 100 episodes.
Yay.
What is it? It's in the 80s now. That's how old we are, too.
Yeah. Is it in the 80s?
We're at episode 82.
82.
You know, 82, you and me, she and me. But obviously, if you like the Pop Report, also leave some reviews. I have some comments from Spotify if you would like me to read some.
Yes, please do.
So in our last episode, Miss Patty, Mr. Patty, they Patty, whoever you are, Patty said, I love both Zack and, quote, the other guy, Andy. I know. We don't need both y'all the same. Y'all compliment each other well. It reminds me of just two friends talking. Oh, they think we're friends.
Sweet.
They think we're friends. Well, they know. Yeah. Sarah also said, Zack is sharp, witty, and clever. The other guy needs to find some humor that isn't cliched, quote, clapbacks. I like being the other guy, you know? I am an other guy through and through. That movie, The Other Guy, is about me. Yeah. Yeah. And this other thing that another person named Sarah left says Disney should have buried that movie before it went to theaters and cut their losses, which is our first story out of today's episode, which is talking back again about Snow White. Wow. I didn't think we'd be coming back to this like the way we've come back to Ben and J-Lo, but here it is week after week. So Zack put up a lovely explainer on Instagram. If you don't follow us on Instagram, we'll recap it for you here as well. But obviously, Snow White's not been performing the best. It's in cahoots of the gutters. It's been flirting with disaster. It's been really just not popping, unfortunately. The little people are upset. The activists are upset.
This movie has completely polarized every people that are more left-leaning feel upset, people that are more right-leaning feel upset, the little people feel upset, the tall people feel upset. Everybody's just upset about this movie. I don't know one person that's I'm so excited. You called Snow White boring. So nobody wants to go see Snow White right now.
So this article, there's a couple coming out. I'm going to read you some pieces from this Hollywood Reporter article. The title is called Snow White Producer's Son Slams Immature Rachel Zegler, quote, clearly hurt the film, which I think, honestly, to just put the whole blame on Rachel Zegler is not fair. I feel like everyone's just going after her in this. There's a lot of reasons why this isn't doing well. But this is focused on the comments that she obviously made. Not only she has made comments in the beginning during the press, but she also talked about her stance on Israel and Palestine. But it says here that a producer's son really is just slamming her, accusing her of being the one to hurt the entire movie with her social comments. This son, his name is Jonah Platt. He's the son of Mark Platt. He went to Instagram to defend his father, who was a producer on the film, and he was the one who went to New York City in August to ask Rachel to remove her Free Palestine comment that she made on X. At the same time, she was thanking Disney fans for watching the Snow White trailer. So, as people remember, she called the movie creepy. It was weird, put her off. But one commenter called Platt's father, quote, creepy as hell, and said the producer's efforts to control her social posts were just, quote, uncalled for, which is to say, look, I'm going to come get on a plane. This feels like very movie advantageous, script. Honey, I can't come to the family reunion. I'm gonna get on this plane and go to New York. And it's okay. But I'll read you this deleted reply from Jonah, who hosts this podcast called Being Jewish. So get ready, Zack, for your live reaction. I don't think you heard this. He wrote, quote, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and due publicly for. He also went on to say, quote, this is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurts the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. Lengthy. It's gone. That reply does not exist anymore, but that was out there.
But it's screenshotted and it's going all over the internet. So I know I've gone hard on Rachel Zegler, but I'm kind of torn about this because, listen, I think it's undeniable, and you can disagree with me, but I think it's undeniable that I think her remarks about disliking Snow White and her political statements, whether it was, against people that voted for Trump or it was, in the Palestine-Israel situation, I think it's obvious that that's what turned people off. You know, it became political when the movie itself didn't need to be political at all. And nobody wants to see a movie where the lead actress clearly hates the original story that, you know, the film is based upon. So I think she was a big, big, big part of it. But it's funny because I was actually having a conversation with Megan McCain this morning and we were talking about it. And I kind of understood her point where she's kind of like, Rachel's 23. She's an
Yeah,
idiot.
she's
You
young.
know, she doesn't know any better. And I was like, you're right. Like in her mind, she thinks that she's doing the right thing. She's really standing for what she believes in. She has a platform and she's like, I'm doing what I believe is right. And at 23, we're all fucking stupid. And we think that, you know, our tweets are changing the world. And so I think that she believes, you know, she stands for what she believes in and didn't understand the repercussions of what was going to happen with this film. I think a lot of the reason the film flopped, I would say 90% of it, I do think is her fault. But at 23 years old, I just don't think she really understood. My issue, though, is that she continues to double down on these things. And I am sure she's probably going through a lot with having the world against her and having the weight of the failure of this film on her shoulders in the press and on social media right now. But I kind of, I don't know if she's going to take this as a learning lesson or if this is going to turn her into a more radical, outspoken actress in Hollywood that I think is ultimately just going to tank her career.
I think it's interesting because we look at like the longevity of some people's careers and like those who have a longer career of like decades in, when they say something, they already have like the accolade of like their namesake. And so for her, she has West Side Story, she has Shazam, she has like a couple titles under her belt. But like when people look at like a young person speaking out, it depends on like how much notoriety they have in their career, which is unfortunate. But I think this would be very much treated different if like Emma Stone said something, or like someone who has got a lot more titles underneath their like, let's call it Hollywood employment. But you also have Rachel who's like said stuff in the press who like, again, she's young. When she signed on Shazam, they were like, why did you take this role? She's like, because I needed a job. And it's like,
yeah,
she's saying the truth, but it would definitely hit different if it was somebody else, which is kind of the unfortunate part. Like if,
in what way?
Let's say like I said earlier, if someone who had a lot more under their belt, like of years and titles and experience, like because she's still an early star, she has a lot of titles. I think that like it's going to hit her in a negative way versus if someone else said it who has 20, 30 years of movie experience, they're still probably going to get work, or at least like a lesser repercussion than like
Gwyneth Paltrow said this, she would still like this wouldn't be the blowback.
Yeah, like very different. I think it would probably have some smaller blowback, but not as like a you're done working. Like
I disagree. I think the blowback would be even bigger. I mean, if a bigger star came out, well, here's the thing: you're never going to have Gwyneth Paltrow do something like this because Gwyneth Paltrow
actually is like dragged into this.
Well, not only, well, I mean, Gwyneth is just an example, but like I was just thinking Gwyneth because I saw her stuff with Meghan Markle, so that's why she came to mind initially. But like, I mean, I think that if it were a bigger known actress, well, one, I don't think a more well-known actress would do that because they know that if you want to keep the paychecks coming in, like they've already kind of learned their lesson of like, let's not do that because they've seen people like Rachel Zegler come forward and completely tank their careers. I don't know.
People
I
are
don't know
comparing it to like
what's gonna
Melissa
come from her.
Barrera, obviously because they have very similar
Oh yeah,
beliefs and
Scream.
comments, but like you can't also like put like Gal Gadot versus like Rachel, like the two different stances are one
Apparently
thing.
it's Gal Gadot. Somebody
Gadot.
got mad at me in the comments, like it's Gal Gadot. The T is not silent. And I was like, well, everyone calls her Gal Gadot. Sorry, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah. So there's obviously like heat on both of them, but she has other comments outside of the, entirety. But there's also people who don't even just like her acting in general. There's people who don't like Gal's acting either. It's just interesting that like we're still getting all of this he said, she said out. Like now we have a producer's son coming out from the woodwork. And obviously he has a very Jewish forward podcast. Like, and so him criticizing her is also, like it is what it is. I know that also Melissa Barrera has been very outspoken with the Variety reporter who's been covering her, saying, look, like it seems like you just have a vendetta against me and my beliefs from what I'm saying. So I don't think it's over. We're gonna probably have another 2-3 weeks of this, like back and forth, new development, behind the scenes, maybe a phone
Yeah.
call conversation of like a publicist saying, how do we navigate
Well, Variety
Disney Gate?
reported this morning that Disney ended up putting like a social media manager on her to prevent her from having like from to kind of keep her to muzzle her a bit from going on her social media rants. But I mean, here's the thing too. It's like I get it, she's young and she's naive, but also at the same time, it's like I understand, and I don't have a problem with her coming out and wanting to, tweet free Palestine or whatever, but it does become an issue when you attach the promotion of Snow White to your political viewpoints, right? And so when she's posting about the trailer and then adds to that in her caption, oh, and also free Palestine, then like you're attaching your political views to this brand that is not, openly as polarizingly political, right? Or to take it a step further and to go on her stories and say, if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, unfollow me. I don't need or want your support. Obviously, the audience is going to react to that and they're not going to support you. So when you're the face of a big film like Snow White, a lot of people are going to remember those comments that you made directly to them and they're going to take that personally and they're not going to show up and support you. So I don't think she realized the repercussions of what she was saying and what she was doing and how that falls back on her employer, which is ultimately, as Jonah Platt said, someone that paid her multi-millions of dollars. And it's like, if somebody's paying you in general, you should have some loyalty to them. You should have some loyalty to protecting the brand. So I do have a little bit of grace for her being that she's young and naive, but the fact that she continued, like she already got into the drama with criticizing Snow White at D23 and that they pushed the movie back a year to wait for that to die down. And then here we go. The premiere of Snow White is coming up in 2025 now. And we pushed it back to wait for that scandal to die down.
There are a lot of delays for the movie in general too. Just like it, they should have cut their losses a long time ago in production, being like, we got to push it back. We have production delays. We have all these other delays. They should have just been like, we're done. Like, we can't do it.
They should have just released it or released it when they wanted
streaming.
Direct to streaming would have been a better, like, I don't, well, I mean, I guess they spent so much money on it that like they were hoping to save it at some point. But I mean, my thing is, it's just like she already learned her lesson with talking shit about Snow White to begin with, to then come out and speak out at the election. And I think that's ultimately what really
I wonder. Yeah, I just wonder what's gonna happen with like we always like hindsight examples of like, oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and I wonder if studios are gonna start being like, hey, girl, when there is the flight, like the actual, I don't know how they're gonna do this, but release weeks, you cannot, say anything on social except for about the film or like a project. I wonder if like studios are going to start trying to find a flight of exclusivity for just talking about the film. Like I think
I would imagine it's in her contract. I would imagine there's a morality clause in her contract. Disney, of course, is going to have a morality clause that I'm sure she was fined. I'm sure she had her pay docked. I'm sure, whatever repercussions were in her contract, I'm sure she's now facing those repercussions and she's probably not going to end up getting her full pay, because this is twice now that she's broken that morality clause. One, with disgracing the character in the film, and two, with her political attachments to Palestine, and then with her comments about the election, which again, ultimately you can show that her actions caused damages to the film because it completely tainted the box office. And she's the face of it.
I just wonder how far they can go to actually prove which incidents caused everything. And so I wonder if it's going to get messy, which I feel like it's already messy, but like, We'll see. Obviously, if you like messy, subscribe. That's that part. In our music news, I thought you'd enjoy this, Zachary, because I feel like you're not the fan. People are claiming that Beyoncé was snubbed in our music news of the American Country nominations.
She's not a country star. She said that. She's not a country star. This is not a country album. So everyone tried to call the CMAs racist for snubbing her then, and so they gave her a rigged Grammy. And like, I am a fan of Beyonce, which is why I hold her to the great status that she should be held to, because she's a great artist. But this country album, I stand by, is a total flop. And the real country, the CMAs, and now what is this one? The C what's?
This is
The
the
ACMs.
ACMs.
So, see, the awards shows that are dedicated specifically to country music are not acknowledging it. Only the Grammys, who Jay-Z called out publicly.
Yeah. Well,
What do you think? You think she was snubbed? You're like, oh, she deserves all the
it's
awards.
just interesting when you give someone like you have an album of the year win, and then like to
Rigged.
go into whether it was what people say rigged or not, you go from like getting a lot of nominations in one either category or like award show, and then go into like another with nothing. It is pretty interesting sometimes. It's like what are the deciding factors? Like,
Look at the outlier. There's only one award show that, praised her up the cooch, and that's the Grammys. So when everybody else is not acknowledging this as a win, because it's not really a win, and you can tell that by the people that are not buying tickets to her Cowboy Carter tour, there's only one award show that has praised her and acknowledged her for this album that hasn't really performed that well. So you have to look at the one outlier, and the one outlier is the Grammys, because she hasn't gotten the accolades from any other award show, specifically the ones that are tailored to country music. And you can't even say that it's about, that the other award shows are just racist, because there are other black artists that have come forth in country music that have been successful and that have gotten awards. So when you look at all the award shows and there's only one that's praising her, and it happens to be the one that her husband publicly called out, something there doesn't add up.
I will say that like to also have a single standout on an album is really hard. Like to have a one staple, like she had that with Cowboy Carter. I think I will give her like she really had This Ain't Texas stuck in our head. Like that really hit. And so I think there should be some recognition of that, like in some capacity when it comes to nominations. Maybe it's not the full album, but it's like that really stuck with us. That really like that liner. Everyone said like, we say in the podcast, we can remember some lyrics, but
just because a song is catchy doesn't make it good, though. I mean, they played it on TikTok 25,000 million times. That's the only reason it got stuck in people's head.
I mean, the chart to also take off on TikTok, that's a whole thing. So I think for charting on the Billboard Hot
TikTok
200,
intentionally does that. How many
well, I'm
offers?
looking at the charting too of like the Billboard Hot 200 and like looking at all the other streaming plays and more for
How
actual
high did she
charting.
make it on the top 200?
Let me get back. This ain't Texas.
Listen, every artist of that stature, Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga had Abracadabra. That's really popular right now. So just because an artist has a popular single doesn't necessarily mean that the single is one, good, or two, that the album is worthy of that same, credit or accolade. I mean, like I said, I compared Cowboy Carter to Cars for Kids. It's a catchy tune. It gets stuck in your head, but just because it's catchy doesn't actually make it that good. And just because you get, and when she's openly said herself that this isn't a country album, those are her own words, then you can't really expect her to get nominations for country music.
I mean, it was number one on the Global 200 chart.
For how long? Because people were also saying Meghan Markle's show made the top 10 on Netflix, and it barely graced the bottom of the top 10, and it stayed there for like 2 days when there was nothing else that was released that day.
I will need to sit a little longer to find out some of these articles. Really, just tell me out the gate. Tell me out the gate. It was on the number 4. It went to number 1. 59 million streams in just like a week. But
also, just so people are aware, TikTok promotes certain music on the platform. I get offers all the time. Use this song, and depending on how well your video or however it does, you get paid a certain number of dollars from the creator program to promote songs on TikTok. That's also very much a thing. So when people see viral songs go crazy on TikTok, a lot of it can sometimes be influenced.
You love to pile it on. I can't find how long it was on there. So
because it probably wasn't on there very long.
It says in here, notably, Texas Hold'em was the second Global 200, number 1 among 54 total. Well, I'm going to come back to that. It debuted at number 1, but I think she has a notoriety. of being Beyonce. And I think that too, like when you have someone who's like, this is not a country album, it's her take on country, necessarily. So we're going to see what happened, but we're
So
going to
you
see what
think
happened at that
you
tour
think she
too.
was snubbed?
I think, again, Texas Hold'em should have gotten something at least. To dip into another genre style, that ain't easy. But
Well, by that logic, every song that makes the top 200 should get their accolades.
get it somehow. Get it in there.
Um,
In terms of some other news, Mr. Zachary, what would you like to talk about? We have some other things in our docket. A lot of things across the board, it feels like.
well, I saw Sundance is making a move.
I know. What are the Housewives going to do?
I know people said get some cameras on Lisa Barlow in Salt Lake City.
Hi, baby
Interesting.
gorgeous. Yeah.
I'm actually not mad at Sundance moving to Colorado from Utah.
So it was there since 1985.
Yeah.
It's been there for a while. Obviously, some things have changed since COVID. Some of the theaters shut down. It has become pretty costly, as some execs have said, to get people there. And it is also in the peak of ski season. So there are some discussions like of we're sad it's gone, but also it brought business, but also it interfered with some of the town's operations. It had been there for a long time, and it was such a staple. But out of the 4 places, you had 2 places that were actually in Utah that were considered. And for it to be going to Boulder, you had like a 50-50 chance of it staying in Utah in some capacity. So it is a blow for those people who are like locals, and it's a blow for people who obviously love, art and looking at the history. Like you have Napoleon Dynamite, you have Little Miss Sunshine. I think that one was there. Don't quote me on that one, but you have a lot of films that like have previewed there. But it will be interesting. Colorado's obviously excited to have, this monumental festival, and Boulder's a college town. They're like, look, it's got rich history, it's got like beautiful landscaping, and I'm very shocked at like it's 10 years now that it's going to be in Boulder. I'm interested to see what's going to happen to Salt Lake City.
I think Salt Lake City will be fine. It's having its moment right now. Everybody loves like Park City. Everyone loves going to snow. And I think it's now that Salt Lake City's kind of had its come up and people go to Utah a lot more, I feel like it's just probably gotten astronomically expensive, especially since that is now like the ski destination, that I just feel like it was time for a move. And Colorado or Boulder, Colorado seems to be building and
Colorado or Boulder, states, cities, places.
It's growing. Like I feel like it's more up and coming, right? So I feel like, I can see this happening.
I also saw.
Oh, what did you see?
Hit it. No, you first.
I was gonna say, have you been watching White Lotus? I hear it's finally getting good.
Yes. So I'm excited because I'm actually going to the finale. I'm going to the Four Seasons in Malibu, and there's going to be cast there, and I'm excited because every White Lotus has been at a Four Seasons, so like it being over here in our area is kind of cool, I think. But there's some news like that's coming out of White Lotus right now, and it's about Duke, and so Duke is upset right now with the White Lotus, and rightfully so. It's featured in a way that we didn't really pick up. I didn't really pick this up. But Jason Isaacs' character actually has a Duke shirt on at one point. And it's very plain and simple, straight Duke branding, just says Duke right on the front. And in episode 6, he is popping his lorazepam, doing his thing, contemplating killing his wife. And he's standing there with the Duke shirt, and Duke was like, WTF. That's our trademark. Which you think, okay, someone go and clear it. But I didn't know Duke was also trademarked. I didn't think that far. Rightfully so it is. And I was like, oh yeah, that probably is. But Duke, I think, is when you have these types of situations, you're like, okay, we'll settle it behind the scenes, appreciative, love the brand lift, the voice elevation. But Duke put out this statement. It says Duke appreciates artistic expression and creative storytelling. But characters prominently wearing apparel bearing Duke's federally registered trademarks creates confusion and mistakenly suggests an endorsement or affiliation where none exists. But I'm also like, girl, you know how many girls are going to want to get a free, like, or not a free, they're going to want to get their Duke shirt on? Like, maybe that becomes a Halloween costume.
Interesting.
Maybe Duke can capitalize on it. Think, like, how can you make this elevated? You go slap him on the wrist behind the scenes is my hot take. And say, you didn't do it right. How can we make this right going forward? Should we sell an exclusive Duke shirt, like, for the White Lotus? Like, something, something, something. How do you make this a positive? So I think that they're kind of like bearing their whole. Right now, of course, you have a trademark, but like you can find a win in this.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were Duke?
I don't know. Let him run with it. Like, I don't know. I think promotion is still promotion all around.
That's what I say, but I'm like, girl, it is a trademark.
Drama.
I don't know how to help you in that.
Drama.
Am I the drama? What's the new drama?
Am I the drama? Are you excited for Robert Downey Jr.'s return to the Avengers? Because he's not coming back as what is it, Iron Man? But because I was watching this interview with Gwyneth Paltrow, right? And she was saying, they were asking her, do you think you'll be making a return? Because she plays, what is it, Pepper Potts, and who's the love interest of Iron Man. And obviously we had the what was it, the Thanos with the Avengers Endgame, and like half of them died or whatever. And so now they're bringing back some of the Avengers, and Gwyneth was saying she doesn't know if she's going to be in any future Marvel movies, because remember when it went viral that Gwyneth didn't know that she was in Spider-Man? And everybody was like, how does she not know she was in Spider-Man? So she explained it further in her latest promo tour that she's doing for the Timothée Chalamet movie. And she was basically saying that they keep everything so under lock and key that sometimes even when you're filming and you get the script, it doesn't even say what movie, which Marvel movie you're filming for. You just go, you tape your scene, you get your lines, and that's really what it is. And so they try to keep all of these collabs under wraps. And so she says she's not even sure if she's going to be back in the Avengers, but I know it was like super popular that
he's like, bitch, I'm hanging out with Meghan Markle. I don't know.
Yeah, but Robert Downey Jr. is now coming back, but he's not playing Iron Man. He's playing
Doctor Doom. I was there at Comic-Con last year when that happened, and it bitches loved, bitches screamed. Like he put that mask off. He's like, I'm back, bitches. And here's everybody so far, because they put this, what people are thinking, trying to really push the Snow White shit down and make everyone focus on something else because Marvel is a Disney property. Here's all the people announced so far. There will be probably more. This video had all these chairs, and they're like, there could be more chairs. We have Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Anthony Mackie's Captain America, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. We have some people from Black Panther, Tom Hiddleston, Florence Pugh, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour. Like it goes on. I'm very
excited for the return of the X-Men people.
Oh,
because the original X-Men, like Professor X and Magneto and Alan
Pedro
Cumming,
Pascal is Mr. Fantastic.
Trader's Alan Cumming is going to be
there. And I was like, hello, like, okay.
That's all I'm really excited about. I don't like all these newbies. Like I'm excited. It seems like they're trying to take Marvel and like the next generation. We have Robert Downey Jr., who's like a new character. Yeah, he's a new character. But like we don't have Tom Holland from Spider-Man. We don't have Mark Ruffalo. We don't have Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch.
I'm fine with that.
We don't have Black Widow. What's her name? Scarlett Johansson. So like all of those, like all the Avengers people that I really did like. Scarlet Witch. What is it? What's Olsen? What's her name? Elizabeth Olsen. So like all those people that I really love from Avengers, I'm sad that they're not coming back, but we have a lot of new faces, a lot of new people. I'm excited about the X-Men people though.
Yeah, James Marsden, Cyclops, amaze. I'm also obsessed as Miss Mystique. My fucking like,
yes.
I thought this was so good. I thought she did amazing. Like I'm not really thinking through with Marvel. I haven't seen like a full Marvel since Avengers, the original Avengers. I'm
really?
Behind.
You didn't do Endgame?
I'm not as straight as I used to be anymore.
Oh my God. I love Marvel movies.
I used to have like a whole Marvel book and everything, but
and then what was it? The WandaVision, and then from WandaVision they had what's her name? Oh man, why am I blanking? The other witch, the purple witch. Anyway.
And I'm like letting you sit with it. Elizabeth Olsen?
No, but the girl. Why am I blanking on her
Catherine
name?
Hahn? Kat Dennings?
No. Damn it.
Anyway, you probably know more than I do because I just stopped watching.
Agatha.
Catherine Hahn.
Is that her name?
Catherine Hahn for Agatha All Along?
Yeah.
Yeah. At least I know that one.
You didn't watch that one?
No. There's too many. It's kind of like
I
Drag
like
Race.
that
I'm
one because
dragged
it
out.
tied into like it's all connected. It's all connected.
Somehow, in some way. Yeah.
We have Kelsey Grammer that's coming as Beast.
Yeah. You beast.
Beast, Rebecca Romaine. Yeah, I'm very excited. They what's his name? Gambit. Channing Tatum is coming as Gambit. So there are some good ones. I mean, I don't know if he was my favorite Gambit, but like, it's fine.
TST.
It'll do. I'm excited for James Marsden. I needed a Wolverine. I don't know. I wanted Halle Berry. Storm.
Halle Berry. Yeah, we always want her back, but
she hasn't done any X-Men stuff since like the original 3, right?
She's like, I'm tired.
I want her back. Yeah, a lot of them. I'm excited. The only ones I'm really excited for, I don't even know how I feel about Robert Downey Jr., but the X-Men people, I'm excited about them.
Well, I'm also excited because we have some other news about Wendy Williams.
Yes, Wendy. So positive news, I guess.
How you doing?
She is hiring an attorney to help her fight her guardianship because obviously she's been like doing the signs and the paparazzi and they took her and her mental competency. She seems of sound mind. So she's hiring her own attorney now to help her fight the what do you call it? The
conservatorship
to get her out of the guardianship, not a conservatorship.
Yeah, I was like, what's the word I'm looking for?
So hopefully that works out for her. You go, Wendy.
You go,
you
Wendy.
go, Glenn Coco.
How you doing?
Did you see this beef that was going on Instagram with Brian Austen Green and MGK about Megan Fox and Megan Fox's baby?
It's like they're all trying to claim territory, and it's like y'all done fucked up both ways.
Well, because none of them are dating Megan Fox anymore, so I don't even really understand what they're fighting about. So Brian Austen Green shared on his Instagram story this DM that he got from Machine Gun Kelly at 6 a.m. Okay,
early like you.
Yeah, I'm surprised. But so Machine Gun Kelly writes to Brian Austen Green in the DM, says, "Stop asking when our child is going to be born. You the feds?" And then he does a little rat emoji and a cop emoji. And then he says, "Quit calling TMZ and focus on that apology you owe me for speaking on my name in public. You chose the wrong one to F with, Mr. Child Actor. Go back to cereal commercials."
It's like Katy Perry. She's like, respect. This is how we do. Yeah, no, that's wild.
Hold on. And then he replied, but did Brian Austen Green do a cereal commercial? Oh, he did Corn Pops. Oh, wow. Oh, back when he was, it was Corn Pops in the 80s. Oh, so that was the joke. Wow, I'm surprised Machine Gun Kelly even knew that. But so Brian Austen Green...
that throwback reference, though.
Well, because he was really young when he did that. Screenshotted the DM, and then he added the caption, "I didn't know child actor was something bad. Leo," referring to Leonardo DiCaprio, "Leo, careful. He may be coming for you next." I don't know if I would put Leonardo DiCaprio and Brian Austen Green in the same category of child star.
No.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio is like a movie star, and yes, he started as a child actor, but like he's continued to peak into that A-list stardom, whereas Brian Austen Green, cute.
Other people who have peaked are Kanye, and that was a long time ago too.
Oh boy. Well, this is crazy. So obviously Kanye and Kim are going through their drama, and Kanye's trying to
the way we flip-flopped on our news, there's so many things in here. I'm like, segue to the next, and I'm like, they all somehow fit.
They do.
We're like, another one, thank you.
Another one, thank you. So Kanye and Kim are having their big legal battle, and Kanye's like, we're going to go to war. Well, now Dr. Phil is chiming in on TMZ's Two Angry Men podcast.
Hold on. Dr. Phil Billy?
Yes. Well, and here's what's so wild is he's like, they better be careful because if Kim and Kanye aren't careful, their kids may end up in the foster care system. And he said that's not good because the foster care system is broken. Which is weird because I mean, not only are Kim and Kanye like uber wealthy, but usually, and he's basically saying that if they don't get their divorce situation settled, like Kanye seems to be unstable, and he's claiming that Kim is being unresponsive when I actually disagree with that. We've heard that she's called like an emergency hearing. She's trying to, prevent Kanye from doing certain things with the kids that she doesn't feel are appropriate. So I think Kim's very much been on top of this. I wouldn't call her an absent or like not responsible parent here. Um, but even in the event that they would need to be taken out of the custody of Kim and Kanye, they would go to like a next of kin. They would go to a family member. And trust me, there are enough Kardashians in the family to take them in.
Kris
that
Jenner's
I
house
don't,
is very open for more kids.
yeah, I don't see them losing custody of their children or letting their children get caught up in the foster care system.
What a time.
What a time, what a time. Did I miss anything else?
No, but do you think this will all come up on Keeping Up with the Kardashians at some or the Kardashians at some point?
I hope so, because it's kind of gotten boring.
I think they'll probably try to amp something in legally they can
They
in the
need
future.
to.
But who?
I just realized I jumped ahead with the Avengers news.
Yeah, I know.
We
I
were
was
in
like-
general news. I thought that Avengers was in general news. I didn't realize that was in Watch or Skip. I was just
No.
excited because I didn't mean to jump that far fast, but
So it sounds like you'll be watching the Avengers anyway, and our watch.
I'm actually I'm excited. I'm excited about the reintegration of the X-Men.
Yeah, I fucking love me some James Marsden. So like, hit it.
Yeah.
But that brings us to our watch or skip formally. Thank you. I was seeing some things on social, and I just want to see how you feel about this certain thing going around right now. You and Erica Jane seem to be quoting the same thing, it seems like these days.
Listen, so I've often made the joke about Garcelle's Bakersfield beach house. I've said that on the podcast. I said that on Instagram. Erica also repeated the joke on Watch What Happens Live. She did text me ahead of time and say, by the way, I stole your Bakersfield joke. And I was like, please do. It's hilarious. Run with it. So she said Garcelle has to do more than buy a beach house in Bakersfield.
And everyone else in the comments was like, everyone else said, you need to get more of a storyline than redecorating your home. And she on Watch What Happens Live was like, I can't legally say shit. I've opened up. I've said a lot, but there's a lot I can't even say.
Well, I mean, she was open, and that was kind of her argument. She's like, for 3 seasons, I took a beating from these women as they were grilling me about the lawsuits and Tom, and we've seen that whole story play out. This finale finally gave us the closure of like Tom getting convicted, and so he was found guilty. The whole storyline played itself out, and now she's in this next chapter of her life where she's moving on from Tom.
So obviously, since we recorded our last podcast, the finale teaser is dropping. There's a lot of comments and discussion about it. Have you been keeping up with this season in its entirety, and do you feel that you want to watch this finale reunion?
Well, it's we got the finale this week, but the reunion kicks off next week.
Right. I always say finale reunion. Every time I always like
people mix them up all the time.
I do all the time
because it technically is like the reunion is like a finale, but it's like the extension of the finale. Right. The season itself was a little lackluster. It started strong. It went a little flat. The reunion looks really good. You just see Dorit delivering lines, and Garcelle's like, was I the only one that was saying that your robbery was fake and that you guys staged the robbery? And Dorit's like, you tell me who else said it. You and the 4 other people on Twitter? I was like, oh, lethal. And
lethal comeback, but also everyone's been asking. I see so many articles about it all the time.
Here's the crazy thing. I don't think that she faked the robbery. Like, why would you fake a robbery with armed men that break into the home, hold you at gunpoint with your kids down the hall and your husband out of town? Like, why would you, if you're going to stage a robbery, you're going to stage it when nobody's home so that they can break in, get the things, you do your insurance fraud, and then it's done. But, to do it with her home, I think is crazy, especially with the kids' home.
Yeah, I always think, though, when people do have robberies or break-ins, it's like a lot of people have security cameras, they have, gates, they have, some sort of armed defense system. And so when we talk about, celebrity break-ins, I'm always like, you have neighbors, you have accounts. When we have no evidence that's when it bewilders me of like, even if someone was assigned to a case, I watch so much fucking murder shit and whatever else. I'm always like, there's got to be some person who saw something or heard something, but there's no recount from any eyewitness on cases like these. And you're like, okay, so the first thing anybody does suspect is like, did it actually happen? Like,
Well, there was security footage. She showed it on the show. We saw the guys breaking in. You see them
oh, did
holding the
they?
guns.
See,
They
this is the
break
thing
the
I don't.
door.
Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't know that part.
that's why. So the only reason people are questioning whether this was set up or not is because when the robbers were leaving, they took her phone and they left her phone outside the house. And so they're saying, why would the robbers leave the phone behind
Why would you take a phone in the first place? That can be
so that she
tracked.
couldn't call the cops? But then as they left, they left the phone. They put it outside the house. So that's where people are like, that's super suspicious. But also at the same time, and I know this because my mother's car, she just thought it was stolen, and there's GPS in her car, so we tracked it down on the phone. And I remember we had the cops there, and I was like, I have the GPS of her car right now. I can see where it's going. I will hop in an Uber and I will chase down this car myself. And the cops are like, please don't
No,
do
don't
that.
do that, sir.
They're like, do not chase down a car. And I was like, I was ready to go on a high speed chase in an Uber.
Hands.
But so the argument that I've heard is it's like, well, they're not going to take the phone because the phone has GPS,
Right.
and wherever they go with the phone, the GPS is going to track the direction that they go into.
Right.
So it makes sense that they drop the phone and don't keep it with
I
them.
agree with that. Yeah.
So
I didn't know that there's footage. So like, but it is this reunion clap back. I have not watched this season. I have gotten bored. I've fallen off. Like,
yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great season. The finale was like super lackluster. I mean,
Just like-
Sutton got put in the hot seat and she totally crumbled. So it's like not fair to see, she can't even fight back with her little bird legs, couldn't even stand up. So the season itself was a bit of a blah.
I kind of want to watch this though because it looks like the comebacks are kind of witty and wild.
The
But like,
reunion looks
Garcelle's
good.
out.
The reunion looks better than the entire season. You see the comebacks. You see, Garcelle storming off the set and quitting the show. It's going to be an interesting one. And apparently she storms off the set because Bose, who's the newest cast member, she says that she would have sued Garcelle if Garcelle made those defamatory statements against her about setting up the robbery. Because essentially, if you think about it, Garcelle went on national television and insinuated that they committed insurance fraud, which is a crime. So it's a dangerous thing to do, to go on national television without any evidence that this has been staged, especially when you see the security footage and the only thing you're really going off of is the fact that they left the phone behind. That to me is crazy. So yeah, I get where Bose is like, I would sue you for defamation if that were me.
Damn, what a time. What a time. Well, I'll watch maybe. Other than that, Mid-Century Modern premieres on Hulu, and if you have a good ass gay time, there's that. I'll give that a watch too. Interviewed Matt Bomer.
Fun.
So I would definitely give a watch, but that is your watch or skip. It seems like watches all around. But other than that, you hit him with anything else?
That's all I got.
That's all I got, girl. Well, obviously, you like the Pop Report. We'll be back in studio soon, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.